Lesson 3. The answer is the question. The human brain is the most powerful force on this planet, by far. It will answer any question that you ask it, any question at all. So one of the biggest keys to overcoming a problem or a challenge or getting yourself out of a bad situation or quote unquote kicking adversity's butt is the type of question that you ask yourself. What you want to do is ask yourself a question whose answer will move you toward your goals and not away from your goals. And you want to ask it with as much emotional intensity as you can muster, and you want to ask it over and over again in different ways. The quality of your life will always be equal to the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. Not your spouse, not your neighbor, not your friend, not your cousin, not your neighbor's friend's cousin. The questions you ask yourself, that little voice that's always talking to us in the back of our head, that's what we need to control. That's what we need to learn to dominate. And one of the best ways to do this is simply to consciously ask yourself better questions. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you overcome adversity one question at a time. Okay, here's an example. You just talked to somebody, it doesn't matter who, just somebody you were dealing with. And you said something that wasn't right. You said something that you wish you could have said better. When you part ways with that person, a lot of times, especially those of us that are very goal-oriented and very motivated to work at something, we'll just start to ask ourselves really negative questions like, oh God, how could I have been so stupid to say that? Well, that's a really destructive thing, in part because of so much emotional intensity that you might have in that situation. And your brain, because it will answer any question that you ask it, your brain will start answering that question. And it'll come up with all kinds of stuff. You remember in 3rd grade your teacher said you were stupid? You remember in 5th grade you had a friend, he said, oh, that's stupid, that'll never work. And on and on. Your brain will go dredging up all that negative stuff out of your past because that's what you instructed your brain to do with the question. And once you understand that concept, then you can turn it around and make it one of the single most powerful tools that you have in your arsenal. A far better question would be something like this. What can I do better next time? If you don't get an immediate answer, that's okay. Ask it again. Change it in a slightly different form. Change it into a completely different question. But keep asking it, and you will eventually start getting some answers. The point is, your brain will start coming up with answers. And that's the good news. So then you might want to ask it some additional questions. What can I do to remember that it's just practice so I can relax and have fun? The reason this works is pretty simple. Your emotions do not control your thoughts. Your thoughts don't not only control your emotions, your thoughts actually create your emotions. And that is Paul's law number 3. Your thoughts create your emotions. So, the more you remember to ask yourself empowering questions, the more your brain will come up with answers to whatever situation, whatever adversity you're facing at the moment. Just like the magician pulling coins out of the air, your brain is going to come up with solutions, possible solutions. Now, some of us, as we're going through the day, ideas just seem to pop into our mind out of the blue. Others of us wake up with a good idea or two in our brain. Personally, I find that I wake up in the middle of the night. So I always keep a pen and a piece of paper beside my bed, and I write things down and then go back to sleep. Because sometimes if I don't do that, then in the morning when I get up, I will have forgotten it. So I have to keep a pen and a piece of paper beside my bed all the time. Because you never know when an idea is going to come to you. And it's very helpful to write down these ideas that come to you. So you can go back and consider them, and when you find a good one, implement it. And that gets back to taking action, which is lesson 5. Albert Einstein, who is generally considered to be one of the most brilliant people of modern times, said this: the important thing is to not stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. One cannot help but be in awe when he contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity. Or, as E. E. Cummings said, always the beautiful answer who asks a more beautiful question. Paul's law number 3. Ask yourself empowering questions with emotional intensity and the expectation of positive results. It's very important to have that expectation as well. Again, that comes back to your core beliefs, that you're worth it, your self-esteem, and you can find a way out of this problem, out of this adversity, out of this situation. Now, this is a process that, like everything else that human beings do just about, it takes a while to get started. Be patient with yourself. If you don't get an answer immediately, that's okay. Ask yourself again. Ask yourself the next day. Also, it's important to make sure you're not shooting yourself in the foot by asking negative questions immediately after asking the positive questions if you get frustrated. Oh, this stuff doesn't work. Why am I doing this? This is stupid. This is never going to work, and on and on. Be careful. This stuff does work. You will get answers. I absolutely guarantee it. It'll work for you too. Now, let's go through another example. Let's say you just made a sales presentation and no sale. It was an unsuccessful presentation, at least from your point of view. So later in the evening, when everything's quiet and the house is quiet, kids are in bed or whatever, and your brain starts going through all that negative stuff, most of us would start asking ourselves negative questions. You know, I've never been a really good salesperson. Why am I doing this? Why am I in this job? Why do I stick with this company? How come I never have enough product on hand to sell? And on, all these lots and lots and lots of negative questions. So let's turn those questions around and create some positive questions that'll move us toward our goals. For example, what can I do to improve my sales skills? How can I get more products to have on hand? How can I demonstrate the value of my product better? Why am I perfect for this type of business? Who can be a great mentor for me? Who might want to be a business partner with me? What's another way I could achieve my goals? Now, in addition to specific items, many times we beat up on ourselves with general things like, oh, I'm just too busy. So there's an incredible 3-step process, and this formulating questions is the most important thing I want you to get out of this class, by the way. On top of you put that on top of the foundational core beliefs from lessons 1 and 2. This is the most valuable part of this course right here, formulating these questions. So let's talk about the 3-step process. First, state the negative that you want to change. I'm too busy. Now, step number 2. State the opposite. State the negative in a positive way. For example, I consistently find time to do the things that are most important to me and my family. Now, step number 3 is take the statement in step number 2 and turn it into a why question. Why am I able to consistently find the time to do the most important things for me and my family? That's the question you want to ask yourself. Because the answer to that question is going to take you over here towards your goals and not over here, away from your goals. That's the power of the correct question. Ask it over and over. Don't just ask it one time. Ask it over and over again. And we're going to give a great example of that in just a minute. But ask it with emotional intensity and repetition, and change the question around if you don't get an answer that you like. And remember to have an expectation of positive answers. Remember, your brain will answer any question that you put to it, period. In our example, perhaps you start getting answers like, because I prioritize things, because I remember to put things in my calendar, because I'm committed to my children, whatever it is, your brain's going to start coming up with answers. And that's when you want to pay attention to those answers. Now, some of you may be thinking that this sounds too simplistic to be any good, much less the basis of an incredible life-changing tool. But it is. And that's why I'm asking you to take, I'm not only asking, I'm begging you take the 30-day challenge. Take 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night for 30 days and ask yourself a series of positive, good, well-created, well-constructed questions. And at the end of 30 days, you will see at least noticeable change and most likely incredible change in your life, your situation, and what you used to call adversity, which is now in the past. But you have to commit to yourself to actually do it. Don't commit to me, commit to yourself. Because without that commitment, days are going to go by and this life happens, and you need to be consistent. It's very important. Consistency is very important in something like this. Because it's going to take a day or two or three or six or whatever to get your brain used to this new pattern of thinking. But I promise you it's worth it. It's worth whatever effort you have to make. I just want to go through one more example of the power of a correctly constructed, powerful question. And that example is Tony Robbins. Now, Tony Robbins right now is a worldwide phenomenon, one of the most successful, one of the most sought after public speakers and consultants in the world. Last time I heard a figure, he charges over $10,000 an hour for his time as a consultant. And a lot of people pay it, and more, most likely by now. But many years ago, when he was just taking off as a worldwide phenomenon, he came home from an exhausting road trip and found out that his partner had just stolen $250,000 from him, and he was $750,000 in debt. And this is probably 20 or 30 years ago when that was a significant amount of money. So he immediately sat down with his business consultants and his attorneys and all those people, his mentors, and every single person told him, you're going to have to declare bankruptcy. It's just too much money, you're too far in debt. But Tony Robbins had the presence of mind to ask himself a different question. In a state of tremendous shock and sorrow and frustration and anger and all the human emotions we have when we get hit with something like that, imagine one of your business partners, one of your good friends, stealing $250,000 from you. Not $10, $250,000. But he had the presence of mind to ask a different question. He said, how can I turn this around? What good can I find in this situation? Now, let me tell you, in his own words, Tony Robbins writes, at first, I didn't get the answer I wanted. Initially, it was, there is no way to turn it around. But I kept asking with intensity and expectation. There's those two words again. Out of those same questions, a year later, I came up with the idea of producing a television infomercial. An answer that I received from that same burning question. And by the way, notice he said a year later, not overnight, not instantly, but a year later he kept asking himself that question, those questions over and over again. Since that time that he started the infomercials, we have created and distributed over 7 million tapes worldwide. He's talking about cassette tapes. This is quite a while ago. Because I asked a question with intensity, I got an answer that's helped me develop relationships with people all over the world whom I never would have otherwise had a chance to meet, know, or touch in any way. Along the way, of course, he made millions and millions of dollars, far more than enough to pay back the debt he was in. That's the potential power of not losing control of your thoughts in a stressful situation and constructing a powerful question. These questions are so powerful that I call them life-changing questions, because they absolutely can change your life. No question about it. I'm going to go through some life-changing questions here. First, some general questions, and then some questions that are good in the morning and some that are good in the evening. Now, you have to take responsibility for changing, modifying, eliminating, adding questions to these questions until it works for you. Okay? The questions I have here, you may not like them. You may like things stated in a different way, or you may have completely other priorities, other things you want to change. So this is just a suggestion, okay? Take these suggestions and run with them. Okay, general life-changing questions. Why do I enjoy being responsible for the results of my life? By the way, that's what we're going to talk about in the next lesson. Why do I feel like I can determine the results of my life? Why do I feel like I can be successful? Why am I very good at overcoming adversity? Why do I always keep a positive attitude about solving problems? Why do I always find creative solutions to problems? What are the benefits I receive now that I have, fill in the blank with whatever goal you want? What 3 things can I appreciate about myself? What am I grateful for right now? What little habit can I change today that, after I do it for several months, will have a significant impact on my life? Where do I need to give myself a little bit of slack and realize that good is good enough? Now, if you're feeling negative about a particular situation, what is positive about this situation? Every problem contains the seeds of an equal or greater opportunity. What opportunity can I find in this situation? How can I help someone today? How can I lift someone up today? What is a lesson I can learn from this situation? What would I like to be different about this situation? How can I plan to make sure it doesn't happen again? Why am I able to forgive myself for past mistakes? Okay, here's some questions for the morning. And again, take these with a grain of salt. Adapt them, change them, throw them out, get your own questions, but take action. I would suggest you repeat this paragraph out loud every morning. Today is going to be my defining moment. Today, not next week, not next month, not even next year. Today. Today I'm going to take action. What am I grateful for this morning? Where is there beauty in my life? What are some wonderful possibilities for me? What am I proud of? What am I looking forward to? How can I serve others today? What am I excited about in my life? What in my life makes me happy? And of course, add your own questions. Now, the evening questions are designed to make you reflect and consider various aspects of your life. So it's a good idea to have a pen and a piece of paper. I cannot emphasize enough how much I believe in journaling, keeping a diary or a journal, whatever you want to call it, but write down stuff in a book or in a notebook or in scraps of paper or the sleeve of the person next to you, but write stuff down. It's very, very helpful to you in the long term. Now, also give your brain time to answer these questions. Now, I'm repeating these questions pretty quickly, but you want to be sure and take time in between questions to think and reflect and let your brain come up with some answers. Also, make sure that you're relaxed and able to invest the time. Notice I said not spend the time, but invest the time. What am I grateful for this evening? What did I learn today? How have I served others today? How can I use what happened today to improve the quality of my life? What good ideas did I have today? And again, add your own questions. This type of question can and will, if you take action, change the course of your life.